anecdote right now. Didn't have to dig for it very far. Tell me when to start.
Well, start whenever you like.
Right, so...
No, wait, let me put this stuff in the washing up liquid.
You got your top there with the dog.
Yeah, Bonnie.
Move that bottle of wine out of the way.
I think I'm going to... Do you want some of this or do you want the white?
I've got a bit of wine. White.
I think the white's better.
Yeah.
I've always been interested, and it'll be a prominent quotational feature of my Telling Tales memoirs, in what artists have said about other artists. And, you know, some of it's maybe sour grapes, some of it's professional jealousy, and some of it is just, you know, friends and contemporaries being honest and frank about their co-frères, their contemporaries. But I can remember when I had supper at Patrick Caulfield's, and you've got to remember I was 24 and I'd been invited in off the street.
What do you mean off the street?
Well, I knocked on Patrick Caulfield's door.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's a gangster move.
Well, I knocked on his door because A, I was starstruck. B, I was just out of UEA where I studied art history. And, you know, I had this pretext of organising a big deal show at the Russell Coates Museum in Bournemouth.
Oh, were you hoping for some work from him?
Yes, exactly.
Did you get any?
No, I didn't in the end, but I do love his work.
Yeah.
And I still do. And I think he's a real character, Patrick. You know, he's real shame he drank himself to death because he was a character. You know,
In what way was he a character?
Well, he was interested in kind of individuals and, you know, oddballs and people. You know, he just...
Is that why he invited you in?
Yeah, probably. Well, I think he invited me in because I look cool, and he didn't know who the fuck I was.
And you had the cheek to knock on his door.
Yeah, I had a cheek to...
When you say you look cool...
No, wait a minute, there is a story here, even this as a story. Before I knocked on his door, I didn't actually knock on his door, actually, that's not true. What happened was, it was in Primrose Hill. It was in a sort of maze, a little enclave...
Like a cul-de-sac?
Yeah, cul-de-sac in...
dead end, really.
In Primrose Hill. And I knew what he looked like, and he was just coming back. It was kind of just getting... It was April, it was. It was just kind of getting dark. And recognised him. I said, oh, Patrick Caulfield. And he kind of liked this fact that this complete stranger had kind of called his name across the residential yard of these kind of posh maisonettes.
What were you doing there? Were you actually looking for him?
I was looking for him.
Brilliant.
And he said,
What, stalking him, you mean?
Well, I don't know, call it...
You're looking for him discreetly?
Well, call it what you want. But I was ostensibly going to ask him whether he'd contribute work to my Russell Coates show in Bournemouth.
Oh.
Which is the reason I went to see Peter Blake as well, way back in 1978. Anyway, he thought it was a bit like something out of Alfred Hitchcock.
Well, like Psycho?
Or something, yeah. And Caulfield was extremely intelligent, bright guy, you know, he really was. And, you know, his work is influenced by the films of Hitchcock.
Oh, really?
Oh, God,
I didn't know that.
Oh, God, yeah.
My work's influenced by Hitchcock.
Well, good, because, I mean, it's all to do with suspense and, you know, metaphysical tension and, you know, sort of quiet spaces and, you know, slightly menacing architectural corners of places.
Attention to minutiae as well.
Attention to minutiae, yeah. And he likened this experience of me, a complete stranger, to something out of Alfred Hitchcock. I remember him saying that to me. I said, oh, come on in, you know, it was just spur of the moment thing, come on in. Well, little did I know that I was walking into an impending dinner party. Because
An impending dinner party.
Because it was all nouveau cuisine. It was like something out of Patrick Caulfield's paintings.
I bet that left you hungry.
I mean, it was all kind of well, it did leave me hungry. It was like really kind of minimal nouveau cuisine things, you know, quiche and...
Quiche?
Well, it was figures in his paintings.
What, like gay food?
Well, yeah, it's sort of trendy 70s kind of nouveau thing, which is in his work. It's very much in Patrick's work, you know, the kind of francophile type of minimal type of decor and, you know, habitat kind of
Habitat, yeah.
decor and all of that.
Yeah.
It's all in his work, and he was living his work at the time. He had Chelsea boots on because he had been to Chelsea Art School, and
He wore Chelsea boots because he'd been to Chelsea Art School.
well, I didn't.
I wore
Wh-
Chelsea boots
whatever,
because they're
whatever.
cool.
Well, whatever. But anyway, that's how it was. And then I started to introduce myself, and about this Russell Coates show and all.
How
this.
did you do that?
Well, I just explained why I'd come. I like your work. I remember saying to him, I can remember one of my opening lines to him was, because I'd been in LA for a winter, even at the age of 24, And I said, the thing about LA, it's full of people who've never heard of William Shakespeare, which I think is quite a clever line, really,
Bit of a put down though, isn't it, for those?
Well, of course it is, but I think Patrick kind of found that interesting because he really loved comments that interested him.
Yeah.
He
You knew you had a sharp wit.
very sharp wit. He a very intelligent man, brilliant artist.
Well, I'm saying he identified you had a sharp wit as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then I was invited. Bloody Patrick, what's his name?
Hodgkin.
Howard
I
Hodgkin.
said when Hodgkin was there.
Hodgkin turned up.
Was that before he was gay or after he was gay?
No, before he was gay. His wife came with him. His then wife came
His
with
wife
him.
came with him.
I think his name, I can't remember her name now. Anyway, she was a Lucas family from Bristol.
Yeah.
And anyway, she came as well with him. And I to be honest, I was only 24. I was absolutely new kid on the block. And I found Hodgkin just blew my mind. I found him otherworldly. He was so weird and spaced out, God, intense. It was so intense to a young, newbie on the block.
Sorry, can you say more about the Lucas family in Bristol? Who are they?
I think probably Quaker, I would imagine. I'm not quite sure, but I think they were Quaker family.
Okay, so not somebody famous.
No,
Okay.
no.
So you were 24, you're having dinner with Patrick Caulfield and
Howard Hodgkin.
That's amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. It's all kind of just spur of the moment chance, And I couldn't believe it. It was so inspirational to me. I thought, I want more of this. I want more of this art world,
Yeah.
And everyone just come out with UA, 6 months earlier or whatever.
Yeah.
I just took a chance, I was wide.
Well,
I was a wide boy.
I think it's because you were so cool.
Well, cool in the sense that I didn't know what I was dealing with, But, sort of beginner's luck, if you like,
And innocent abroad.
Yeah, innocent abroad, if you like, yeah. But, it was a great evening, and there was a sort of actress there, American actress, and she added to the spice of it all. We were all kind of around this round table. It's like something out of Patrick's painting, with a kind of minimal kind of dangling round thing. And it was all kind of minimal and nouveau cuisine and everything. It was very cool.
Do you know who she was?
Oh, I can't. I remember she was American and an actress, but no idea who it was.
So do you think he did the cooking?
Oh God, I think his wife did. His long sufferer, Pauline. She was from Dorset. They had a couple of children, young boys. I think they were boys. And I just
What do you
wondered.
mean to think they were boys?
Well, because
Did you not meet them?
I can't remember, but I think they were boys, but it's a long time ago now. Anyway, I was on the settee by the fire. I remember he made a log fire. It was April, so it was chilly evening. And then Howard Hodgkin turned up, and there was a lot of gin going around.
Gin,
gin and tonic-y sort of type of thing. And then Pauline, his wife, she was from Dorset. I remember that. She was quite quiet. I think she'd been an art student in the 60s in London. He treated her rather roughly, really, because they split up X years later, and he moved in with Janet Nathan, who was a kind of hustling Jewish, wealthy. They wouldn't make her an RA. She was in the RA summer show every year. Janet Nathan, a good artist. She made sort of a bit like your work, Bob, sort of driftwood reliefs, a bit like Margaret Mellis. I mean, pretty good. But they just would not make her an RA. I think she was a bit of a hustler, wealthy Jewish.
Yeah.
And they got together, and he left his wife. They divorced, and he moved in with her, and that's where he developed his hard liquor problem, which eventually killed him. Oh, he was an amazing guy, Patrick. You know, anyway, that was some evening. You know, 1978, April 1978. That was.
Your attention, memory for detail is quite impressive.
Well, thank you.
The months and all that.
Well, the reason I remember it, Bob, is because it matters to me. You know, if people say things to me, say a significant artist says something about another significant artist, I soak it up because I know it's important. I just, you know, I remember it because it is important. I remember them taking the piss out of Peter Blake.
Right.
Because I'd been to see Peter Blake in Wellow, which is outside Bath. And I told them that, and they absolutely tore into him. They said, you know, took the piss out of him, you know, about, you know, becoming a kind of faux hippie, dropping out of the urban pop Chelsea art world, and then becoming a sort of back to earth, you know, back to nature hippie. I mean, they were really tearing into him, Peter Blake. And then surprisingly, they had a bit of a go at David Hockney.
Really?
But in a nice way. They weren't sort of,
yeah.
They weren't taking the piss out of him. They were sort of making comments about his unhealthy type of, you know, kind of lifestyle, I suppose. I don't know what it was.
What do you mean unhealthy?
Well, it might have been something to do with the homosexual thing. I don't know.
So Hodgkin was taking the piss?
No, well, Hodgkin wasn't gay then. I mean, he turned gay later, you know, but...
It was in him.
Well, yeah, probably.
It was
But,
definitely in him.
yeah, but...
Maybe not as often as he
they
liked.
weren't openly going on about him being gay. They just said that he was... You know, they had a Hockney. I mean, Patrick had a lovely David Hockney painting, and they said what a good painter he was.
What was it?
Oh God, I can't remember. I think it was a landscape. It's an oil painting. I was really, you know, it's worth a fortune even then. And they said he was a good painter. You know, I think it was something about his, you know, not so much his sexuality, more about his, you know, kind of state of mind maybe at the time.
It might have been a class thing because
Yeah.
Hockney was from like
Bradford.
and Peter Blake wasn't from Dartford, wasn't he? So you think
He was from Dartford, yeah.
a lot of these artists were jealous of. I mean,
Yeah,
Hockney and Blake are
Yeah, from Keith Richards' stad.
great artists.
Yeah, he was from Keith Richards' stad, Dartford,
That's right.
in Kent, you know. But they were definitely having to go at Peter. They were really tearing into him actually about this giving up on pop art, urban pop art, and going back to nature as a sort of faux hippie. They were really tearing into him about that.
This is why your book is so important because you were party to all these conversations.
Exactly.
And
it was back in the day. It was then at the
Yeah.
time. You know, looking back now, you know, you can relativize
Gotta
it.
get it on paper.
Well, I'm going to. You know, I've started it. I have started it. But you know, back then, it was back in the day. You know, these things had only just happened. You know, it hadn't been sort of fully assimilated like today. So that was a hell of an evening. That was, God, that was just such a.
was that your introduction to the art world?
Yeah, well, one of them. You know, it was fantastic. You know, I mean, God Almighty. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah. What was cool about it?
Well, it was, you know, it was just, you know, famous people, you know, famous artists, people I'd studied in art history books, just, you know, less than a year earlier. You know, seeing the real thing. And when I went to my first opening at the Rowan Gallery, you know, I thought, fuck, this is like Hollywood, but with intellectualism, you know, heady. It's a heady glamour, you know, intellectually heady, you know, mindful, but also glamorous and show busy, you know. That just blew my mind. Oh, I want more of this. You know, hitherto I'd just been a student studying it, you know, out of a book.
Well, you had plenty more of it, didn't you?
Yeah, I
For the
did.
next,
Yeah.
50 years?
Yeah, well, more than that. Well, yeah, whatever it is, I haven't counted, but...
I was thinking about today about how you almost ventured into politics.
Oh, yeah. I stood for the Natural Law Party.
What's the Natural Law Party then?
It's a transcendental meditation. We fielded 300 candidates in the 1992 general election. And I was press ganged into standing for Hornsey and Wood Green in North East London. And I went on the rostrum with the other candidates.
Who were the others?
Barbara Ross, who won it back for Labour. It was the beginning of Blairism. She won it back. It's 92. This was. She won it back from the Tories, and then I was with some other. I can't remember what the other.
What do you mean you were press ganged into it? Did they approach you?
Well, I was pressurised, to stand for TM. They wanted as many candidates as they could get. And I had this friend, John Windsor, in Hackney, who had a big house, and I used to spend a lot of time there when I was living in the bush. I lived in the bush, next to Loftus Road. I lived in Arminger Road.
That's right.
For a long time. I lived in Arminger Road. And I was happy there. I liked the bush. It was a community. I liked the bush. I used to go along to QPR as a neutral. I'd just go along, because I'd just walk out the door and I was there in 5 minutes. I used to just turn up to see QPR.
Going to pray at Mecca?
No, it wasn't like that then. It was Irish. The bush was Irish then still.
Yeah.
Since I've left, it's become more Muslim, So, yeah.
So what happened with you? Did you have to do any speeches or anything like that?
Oh yeah, I
the
did.
TM part. Did they know you were into TM?
Well, I gave a speech at Ali Pali after the count, and there was a lot of rowdiness and lots of sort of shouting and jeering and all the rest of it. So I remember I was giving my speech and I said, "Silence is golden," which ties in with the TM thing, meditation. So I thought that was a bit of a.
So you had studied TM.
Yeah, well, I practiced it. I mean, I was taught by a UEA lecturer, Ralph Yarrow. He taught French literature at UEA in European Studies. Not in your school, but in my European Studies. So Ralph Yarrow was a TM teacher, and he taught me TM in Norwich at his house.
When you say he taught you TM, what did you do? Just like go and do meditation?
Well, it's a mantric. He gave me a mantra. He inducted me into the technique.
What, to repeat?
Well, yeah, he says it out loud to begin with, and then you start to say quieter, and then you start thinking it.
Yeah.
And then the meditation is where you don't say it out, you're thinking it. It's a thought vibration.
So is it in English?
No, it's Sanskrit.
But you're told what.
Well, it sounds like English, but it's not. It's Sanskrit. I can't say what it is.
I presume you're told what the words mean.
Yeah, it's Sanskrit. It's a mantra. It has this kind of sacred, heavenly meaning or what sort of thing.
So that party, what was their aims?
Well, it was the aim of it was to. A good question, actually, Paul. The aim of it was to publicise TM. For Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the Beatles guru, he wanted to make a point that you can't change the world and solve the world's problems through politics. You have to do it through something deeper, through inner tranquility, inner peace, or whatever. So that was the message. That within politics, the best way to solve social and political problems is through spiritual and mental power. If you like, that was the point of it, the message of it.
Yeah.
But it was a big publicity stunt, really.
What was it? Did you have to pay a fee to?
No, I was all paid.
You were sponsored.
Sponsored, yeah. It was a
Did
bloody.
you keep your deposit?
No.
How many votes? You know how many votes you got?
198.
Oh, that's not bad.
How many
Not
did you
bad.
need to keep your deposit?
Oh God, thousands.
So there's 198. Where was this?
Hornsey and Wood Green.
Hornsey.
That's why I was at Ali Pali for the count, and I was allowed into the count because I was a candidate. I was allowed into the to the counting the votes, and it was a gas. It's a real laugh,
Yeah.
It was a hell of a laugh. Glad I did it. It was great fun.
Because at that time you were doing yogic flying, weren't you?
Yeah.
Tell us about yogic flying. I mean, is it actually levitation?
Well, it's not levitation where you're hovering halfway in the air and staying there. It's not. It's bouncing around. It's bouncing around on mattresses on foam. But there's no effort with it. You take off, just for a couple of seconds. It's bouncing around.
And the purpose is to experience the lack of gravity.
Yeah.
But you're actually experiencing gravity because you land with a thump, surely, straight away.
Well, you come down, yeah, but because you're supposed to do it cross-legged in a full lotus. Because I've got bad posture, I do it on my knees, so it's like a kangaroo, bouncing around like a kangaroo. So I was coming down on my knees. But the people with better posture
Very limp now.
could do a full lotus, and they bounced on the backside, bouncing around. But it's involuntary. There's no effort. It's the Kundalini energy is released up your spinal cord, the chakra, the Kundalini.
Yes.
And that you start shaking violently.
But that's sexual energy, isn't
Well,
it?
whatever, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the same energy.
But you're not turned on when you're
it's not. It's not sexual because it goes to the third eye.
Okay, well, it goes beyond.
No,
It
the
goes
sexual
down
energy
beyond.
is the sexual chakra down here.
What do you mean down here? Down where?
Chakra down here below. You've got the solar plexus right there.
Yeah.
And then you've got the sexual chakra, which is below the solar plexus, and then the third eye is the Godhead. That's the spiritual faculty, right? Yeah. So anyway, but I can tell you it worked. I started bouncing around. It was involuntary. There's no effort. There was no muscular effort to do it. It was just the energy was propelling me to do it. I didn't stay there. It was just bouncing around. I didn't actually hobble.
And how did it feel?
Oh, you feel incredible afterwards. I mean, it really releases tension and stress, and you just feel blown out.
Bit like after having sex, really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a bit like that. Yeah, but that's a similar phenomenon, really. Sex, it's tantric. It's a similar thing, But yeah. So anyway, that was that.
So I take it none of the candidates actually
No.
got
No. It's
I
all.
think this country would be in a better place if you'd got in.
Yeah, you could say that. I'm not going to argue with
We'd all
that.
be bouncing around on mattresses with no effort. I mean, living the dream.
You could say that.
The other story I like is the fact that your hero is John Lennon,
Yeah.
and you've often been mistaken for John Lennon because I don't know if you identify him. It's almost like you do look a bit like John Lennon.
Well, a lot of people have said that down the years. I'm flattering myself a bit because I think he looked the coolest guy going. He looked so funky. So I'm flattering myself a bit. But so many people have said it to me down the years.
What, I mean, they come up to you and say,
Yeah, they're just saying, "Oh, John Lennon,"
yeah,
But
Did you wear round glasses?
yeah,
you did.
that
actually.
helped. That helped.
I remember
That
you
helped.
did, yeah.
And I met his son. Sean.
Did you?
Yeah, I met Sean Lennon
How did that come about?
through our mutual friend, who I really want to contact because I miss him. What's his name? You used to know him at the gym, at the
My gym.
yeah, the sports centre. You used to know him. You know him as well. Christ, what's his name? Yeah, you do know him. He came to Cleeve Street once and had coffee with us. Oh God, he's got work in the Tate. He's
An artist.
Artist, yeah. Yeah, you do know him. What's his name? Quite. He looks a bit like Bobby Moore. Sort of tallish and
Probably more.
a little bit like Bobby Moore. You do know him.
Yeah.
He had
It's a long
he
time
had
ago.
a studio down the bottom of Chiswick there. By the
Oh, Barry Martin.
Barry Martin. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, Barry Martin, because he had work in the Tate.
Yeah.
I like Barry. I really
Yeah.
must ring him. I got his number.
Yeah.
I must ring him. I'd like to see him again. Anyway, Barry used to go to all the Tate openings
Yeah.
because he had work in the Tate collection, and he used to know Yoko Ono
Did he?
when she was a conceptual artist. In fact, she borrowed a fur coat off him and never gave it back to him.
What do you mean a coat? What, like a jacket or something?
Yeah, fur coat.
Really?
Fur. Yeah, because she had a thing about fur coats. And anyway, I went with Barry to the Yoko Ono Serpentine opening in London in oh God, when was that? I don't know, 2002 or something. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
And I got in there with Barry. It was a garden party for Yoko Ono, and he didn't really want to see her again because he was a bit down.
Did he want his coat back?
He wanted his coat back. Anyway, I noticed Sean Lennon, socialising with a group of people, and being the John Lennon fan I am, I couldn't resist. So I went up to him and I had my Northern School book. In fact, it's the book that that Dennis Bowen bought off me.
All right.
Right, and I had it on me, and I went up to him and I said, "Oh, Sean, excuse me, I won't take much of your time. And I said, would you sign this book, please? And he did.
Why was it
Sean
relevant for him to-
Lennon. Well, I said I wrote a book on Arthur Ballard, who taught your father at Liverpool Art School. And when I said that, he looked at me. He was quite tall, and he wasn't really looking at me. When I said it, he actually turned and looked at me.
Yeah. You knew you were the real deal.
Yeah. So that was pretty good, pretty cool. So, yeah, it was just a little thing, but...
Didn't you have a contact with Cynthia Lennon?
Oh, I knew Cynthia very well. I met her a few times.
How did you meet her?
I met her at the Royal Academy because Michael Kenny, who was a student at Liverpool Art School with Stuart Sutcliffe and John Lennon, I wrote a book on him, a lifetime book, before poor old Mike died. It's in the front room there. He was going to become president of the Royal Academy. He got cancer and died. It's a terrible event. And anyway, he put on this exhibition at the Royal Academy because he was treasurer of the Royal Academy, so he could do what he wanted at the Academy. He got me into the varnishing day, everything, could use my mate. And so I went to this private view. He put on this kind of Liverpool artist thing, and Cynthia came to it. So that's how I met her. And then I went up to her as well. And
what was she like?
yeah, she's very nice actually. Very
According to Peter, he knew her as well when he was living in Chester. She's very down to earth.
She was down to earth, definitely. Yeah, she's dead now, unfortunately. But
She's even more down to earth now.
Yeah, quite. Yeah, but I knew her best mate, Phyllis, because my mother's name's Phyllis.
Right.
So her name is also Phyllis Mackenzie, and she was at Liverpool Art School with Cynthia. They were best mates, and she was with Cynthia when she gave birth to John's first son, not Sean. What's his
Julian.
Julian, thank you. I'm pretty memory's going. And I slept with Phyllis.
You slept with Phyllis?
Yeah.
The old slag.
Yeah, I didn't.
How did you manage that?
Well, because she stayed in Shepherd's Bush with me, because she used to knock around with me. I mean, she'd come to, because there was the art world to her. She'd been an art student, but I was. She used to come to my openings because she liked, coming.
Is there quite an age difference there?
Oh God, yeah, big age difference.
How big an age difference?
Oh, I don't know. Half a generation. I mean, 20
30 years?
20 years, 25.
How old were you?
At the time, I was. Oh God. That was what we're talking about. 1997. So I would have been what? 30. Would have been about 30,
40.
34, 34, yeah.
And
So-
how old
so-
was she?
Oh, she early 50s, I suppose.
Well, that's not such a big.
Well, no, but anyway, she wouldn't let me, do the whole thing.
What do you mean do the whole thing?
She didn't let me have sex with her.
Well, you said you slept with
Yeah, I
her.
slept with her, yeah. Slept with her in the bed.
I thought you meant shag.
No, I didn't shag her, but I slept in the bed with
You
her.
would have done though, wouldn't you?
Well, I tried to, yeah.
Do you want to go into detail about
No,
that?
not really.
Do you think it's because she was connected to John Lennon?
I don't know what it is, but we were friends. We used to knock around. We were mates, and that was that really. But
And she still spoke to you afterwards? And was,
yeah, she came to my.
She didn't run out of the room screaming then?
No, not at all. She stayed the night in the bush. Well,
Yeah, bird in the bush.
Arlington
Worked through
Road.
in the Strand.
Yeah. And then I met Cynthia again at another opening. That was through Phyllis as well. That was in Shoreditch. There was some event there. Can't remember what it was.
Do you think Phyllis would have told Cynthia about
Probably.
your attempts to?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably, I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what women say to each other behind our...
Well, we won't go into that.
No.
I'm not telling.
Because you were recognised in a pub in Huddersfield when I was there with Dennis Bowen and your painters group. Someone come up to you and said they thought you looked like John Lennon.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I get that quite a lot.
Still?
Well, yeah, a little bit. Maybe not as much as before, but
Does that make you feel good?
yeah. I usually say to people, "You made my day."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my normal riposte.
You was a big Beatles fan, weren't you?
Yeah.
Not so much the Stones.
Well, no, I like the Stones. I mean, you know, my favourite group's the Beatles, right? My second favourite, now really second, is Led Zeppelin. I love Zeppelin. You know, being a Celt and a mystic, I love their whole lyrics and what's for Zeppelin are about. I just love. And I met Jimmy Page, of course.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, I met him with your former wife's mother.
What?
Yeah, we went. Look,
Linda's mother.
not Linda.
No,
not
Rosa.
Linda. Rosa. But Rosa's mum had a hotel, didn't she?
She did.
Right?
In Kensington.
In Kensington. Yeah, correct. I was staying with you at the time. It was 90.
Well, when she kicked me out, you carried on living there. With Rosa, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, it's 2010 it was. It was 2010, so it's not that long ago. Anyway, we went to Killamore Gardens off Kensington High Street. Right, this is Rosa and her mum, right?
Yeah.
And we had tea in Killamore Gardens, you know, right? You know, Rosa's mum, Rosa, me.
Yeah.
We're outside. It was April again, and it was, you know, palatable weather to sit out and have a pot of tea. And who should walk by but Jimmy Page, who lived around the corner in Melbury Road.
Yeah.
In the what's his name's old house. Alistair Crowley. And he picked me out. I was just with this group of people, Rosa and her mum and me. And he walked by, and as soon as I twigged it was him, he noticed me.
Really?
Yeah, it was like psychic, you know. I mean, the moment, because he's a bit of a witch himself, Jimmy Page.
Totally.
And he picked up on me straight away. It was almost telepathy, to be honest. And I'm a fan, you know, so I couldn't resist again. I just followed him around. He went into a bookshop in the cafe, sort of cafe area, and then it was a sort of little.
You stalked him?
Well, I went up to him, you know, and started talking to him, and, you know, because I'm a fan, you know. I should have asked for his autograph, but I didn't, unfortunately. Anyway, I sort of tried him on his pre-Raphaelite collection, Burne-Jones. He's got a big
massive collection,
and Dante Gabriel Rossetti, and you know, I was aiming, you know, try and get an interview with him, and he was really nice. He's quite shy, and he shook hands, and he cut me off. Then he didn't, you know, I think he has that policy of not engaging too much with strangers, you know, but he was very polite. He gave me a long handshake, and he appreciated it. But I didn't get what I wanted, which was an interview.
Well, you got a long handshake, that's good.
Yeah, it was good, yeah. I would rather have had an autograph, but I was too bloody slow.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you are.
He was probably quite grateful that you hadn't asked for an autograph. It's probably.
Yeah, well, probably.
If I hadn't split up with Rosa, I would have met Jimmy Page. If she hadn't kicked me out. Anyway, that's another story. That would be in my book, maybe.
Yeah. It was weird the way our eyes just caught at exactly the same moment.
Were you and Jimmy Page?
Yeah, it was weird because we weren't that close. It was a good 20 yards away or something, you know.
You just felt a kind of instant, like psychic.
Yeah,
connection.
Well, he's psychic himself.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Are you psychic?
Yeah.
Are you? In what way?
No, Jimmy Page is. Well, maybe I am. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, so you know, opposite here, you know the big house.
The one
Mike Sanders, you know the big house
Yeah.
now. His wife is one of Mick Jagger's solicitors, and Robert Plant bought the house next door.
You told me about that.
Just across the road.
Strange here, Devices, isn't it?
I know, and he used to hang around in Devices because his girlfriend was Jessica Jupp, who was friends with Chris Gange. I met her at Chris Gange's because Chris used to show her late dad's ceramics, Mo Jupp. Right?
Mo Jupp.
Mo Jupp, yeah. So I met Jessica through Chris at the Catherine House Gallery. Well, that house next to Sanders, opposite, Robert Plant bought that. They're still together. They live in Glanbourne. near Lewes in Sussex. They're still.
Just going back briefly to John Lennon.
Yeah.
What do you think about Yoko Ono?
I got mixed feelings about her. To be honest, I think mixed feelings really. I think she's very fey as an artist. I think there's a certain toughness with her, and she was a member of the Fluxus, so she's bona fide. She's not just she's not charlatan. She was a genuine member of the Fluxus movement. But I do think they're a little bit insubstantial and a little bit fey, make believe. But I don't dismiss her either, and I think, Lennon was besotted with her, so I think she was good. She was good for him. So I could say I've got mixed feelings about her really.
I know it's like a bit of synchronicity here, but the last 3 chats we've had, it's just coincidence you've been wearing that red lumberjack shirt.
Oh yeah.
Because you like the old cowboy look, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Well, don't we all?
Yeah. I mean, you've got a collection of those lumberjack shirts, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. They're comfy. I just like them. It's a Neil Young as well. The Neil Young look,
You like Neil Young, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, Canadian from Toronto. We went to see him, didn't we, in Hyde Park?
We did.
That was good, wasn't it?
And we have a mutual friend who.
Oh, Rob Gillett, yeah.
Well, no, not Corinthia.
He,
Didn't he propose to Corinthia?
Who?
Neil
Oh,
Young.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he proposed to her, and she turned him down.
A bit like you and Phyllis, really. But, yeah, it's a cool look, isn't it? Because I suppose you were growing up with the Easy Rider. Because you used to like Peter Fonda, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I went to the UEA, to the Easy Rider, UEA film evenings, in the big lecture theatre there. Remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I remember Easy Rider was part. They never show it now on TV. They seem to have closed down this whole kind of former hippie counterculture thing. You never get it on TV anymore.
Well, we'll have to watch it one night.
Yeah, I'd love to see it again. It's a hell of a film.
Get the cowboy boots on and smoke some. Well, no, you can't smoke any weed because you.
It'll probably make me sick now, even though I've got 2 cannabis convictions.
Okay, Peter. Well,
thank you for
we
that.
look forward to hearing a lot more stories
We
in
will.
the
We'll
telling
get
tales, and don't hold back, mate.
I'm not going to. Yeah, thanks for that. It just sort of stirs the loins and gets me into the
Great metaphor that.
Yeah. Gets me into the swing of the book I've started it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's full of stuff. I mean, a lot of it's what artists have said about other artists.
Well, that's fascinating.
Clive Barker, who you met, the pop sculptor. He's sort of English Klaus Oldenburg in a way.
Yeah.
Put it in a nutshell. Well, he used to say,
I know what's coming.
You may too. He slept with in that swanky hotel, not the one we went to.
Not Claridge's.
Not Claridge's, the other one.
You didn't take Estelle to a swanky hotel then?
Yeah, we went to the Claridge's.
He did take me to Claridge's.
I went to
but he wasn't
Claridge's for
paying.
lunch. Well, Brian Wall was paying.
Yeah.
I
know somebody would be paying.
We had a very, very nice lunch.
It cost hundreds of quid. I mean, it's Claridge's we're talking about.
How much was your dessert?
28 quid. It was just
What is that, custard?
No, it's just a little small cakelets,
Isn't it for
28 quid.
28 quid. Yeah, but we weren't paying. Brian Wall was paying. And Brian Wall, you'd love Brian Wall. You would love him. He's a West London, not gypsy, but a West London Jewish.
He's lovely.
Street boy. You'd love him. He worked for Barbara Hepworth.
Well, next time you go to Claridge's, bring me along.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got to go into what happened with Clive Barker.
Oh yeah, well, Clive Barker, he talked about Peter Blake as well, and he said, "Oh God, we all used to feel sorry for him at student dances because none of the girl students fancied him. He's a bit of a teddy bear, isn't he? Bit of a teddy bear." And then Rose Hilton said to me, because she was a malicious gossip.
Yeah, I heard that from Rose too.
Yeah, she was a malicious gossip, Rose Hilton. She said, when we were students at the Royal College, which they were, he used to come crying to me, crying in my arms, none of the girls fancy me.
I think he was a virgin, wasn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised,
Yeah, nice guy. Anyway, but we're missing The Brigitte Bardot story, which I've heard many times.
Well, Clive had a dirty weekend with her in. It might have been Clive's. It was on Davies Street, you know.
Davies Street. That's because your name is Davies.
It's Davies, yeah.
Well, that's another connection. Connects you to Brigitte Bardot, really.
That's a little bit obtruse. That's a little bit of
Yeah, but you take it, wouldn't you?
Well, you know, but no, I never met Brigitte Bardot, but Clive had a dirty weekend with her.
Did he tell you that, or was it?
Yeah, he told me. Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah,
common knowledge.
Well, I'd say, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but he told me.
Yeah.
And Clive wouldn't. Why would he lie? You know. He was a pretty straight guy.
Yeah. Nice guy.
I've got a nice painting by him upstairs. It's a Queen of Spades.
Where's he now?
He's in Hampstead, where we went.
Still in Hampstead?
Yeah, the same place.
I'd love to go and interview him.
Well, go and see him, yeah. He lives in Windmill Hill.
Yeah.
You know, just up from the Heath Street.
Yeah.
It's the first, he's in a flat there.
Yeah.
We went there.
We did, yeah. Nice guy, I like him.
He is a nice guy, yeah.
Very youthful looking, isn't he?
Yeah, well, wait a minute. You haven't seen him since. He's aged a lot, but...
Is he? Well, I hope so.
Dorian Gray.
Anyway, a dirty weekend with Brigitte Bardot.
Yeah, well, it's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know one day.
Okay, Peter, before we start getting into the grisly details.
Yeah. And, you know, the only other thing, since we're on celebrities, I went to see Paul McCartney's brother, Mike McCartney.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I went to see him in his house in Lower Heswall on the Wirral, which was originally Jim McCartney's house. And when Paul McCartney's dad died, Paul, you know, they both inherited the house because it was obviously their dad, you know, dad's house.
Yeah.
Paul had originally given the house to his dad, yeah? And I went to the house. It's a lovely house. It's Lower Heswall. You walk up the garden path, it's an orchard. And it's quite a big house, you know, it's a beautiful house. And I went there to see Mike McCartney.
Right.
And
what do you think about the theory that Paul McCartney died in a car crash in 1964 and was replaced by Billy Shears?
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah?
Fucking bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Peter, thanks for that.
I think all right.
More to follow.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Be lucky.
Pleasure. Thank you. Pleasure to cooperate. And also, it stirs my loins. You know, for my written version of all this.
Well, that's the most important thing, is we're stirring your loins.
Yeah. I mean, with the Count Ali Pali, I can remember that Bernie Grant had won it for Tottenham for Labour. So he gave a speech as well, you know, Bernie Grant.
Yeah.
The first black MP, is that right? Or
yeah, I think you're right.
I think one of the first. He was a nice guy, really sort of talked to him, you know, down to earth.
He didn't do transcendental meditation.
No, I did.
Yeah.
No, he didn't. Anyway, so...